Blue Book, The Art of Laziness, Chapter 3 Summary. Chapter 3 of The Art of Laziness focuses on an important idea: working less, but achieving more by using smart effort instead of constant hard work. The chapter explains that many people stay busy all day, but still feel tired and unproductive because they confuse being busy with being effective. The author teaches how laziness, when used correctly, can actually make a person more productive. Below is a detailed explanation of the main ideas of Chapter 3. 1. The difference between busy and productive. The chapter begins by explaining that being busy does not always mean being productive. Many people spend their whole day doing tasks, answering messages, attending meetings, or completing small activities. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted but still feel they did not achieve anything meaningful. The author says this happens because people focus on quantity of work instead of quality of results. For example, a person may spend 8 hours working but accomplish very little. Another person may work only 3 hours but finish the most important tasks. The second person is using intelligent laziness. Instead of doing unnecessary work, they focus only on what really matters. The chapter encourages readers to ask themselves one simple question before doing any task. Backhand index pointing right. Is this task truly important, or am I just keeping myself busy? If the task does not create real value, it may not deserve your time. 2. The lazy person's secret strategy. The author introduces a strategy used by smart lazy people. A lazy person naturally tries to avoid unnecessary effort. Because of this habit, they often find easier and faster ways to complete tasks. Instead of doing things the long way, they ask questions like, can this task be simplified? Can this be automated? Is this even necessary? For example, a hardworking person might spend hours manually organizing files. A lazy thinker might create a simple system or shortcut that organizes everything automatically. In the long run, the lazy thinker saves a huge amount of time and energy. The chapter shows that laziness can lead to innovation and efficiency. 3. The power of prioritization. One of the biggest lessons of this chapter is prioritization. Many people treat every task as equally important. As a result, they waste time on small things while ignoring big goals. The author suggests dividing tasks into 3 categories. 1. High-impact tasks. These tasks create the most results. Examples: important work projects, learning new skills, building relationships, health and fitness. These tasks should get most of your attention. 2. Medium-impact tasks. These tasks are useful but not critical. Examples: replying to emails, routine office work, organizing documents. These tasks should be done after the important tasks are completed. 3. Low-impact tasks. These tasks do not add much value. Examples: scrolling social media, unnecessary meetings, rechecking things too many times. The author recommends reducing or eliminating these tasks. A lazy person naturally avoids low-impact work, which is why they often end up focusing on what really matters. 4. The 80-20 principle. Chapter 3 also discusses a powerful productivity concept called the Pareto principle. Backhand index pointing right. The rule says that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. In other words, a small number of tasks create most of the results. The majority of tasks contribute very little. The author encourages readers to identify their 20% tasks. For example, in business, a few customers generate most of the revenue. In studying, a few key topics determine most exam results. In work, a few important tasks produce most career growth. Lazy thinkers focus on these high-impact activities instead of trying to do everything. 5. Energy management instead of time management. Most productivity advice talks about time management. However, this chapter emphasizes something more important: energy management. The author explains that everyone has limited energy each day. When energy is wasted on unimportant work, there is little left for important tasks. For example, if someone spends the whole morning answering emails and messages, they might feel too tired to work on meaningful projects later. Instead, the chapter suggests heavy check mark: do the most important work when your energy is highest. Heavy check mark: avoid draining tasks early in the day. Heavy check mark: take breaks to recharge your mind. This approach allows you to work less but achieve better results. 6. The importance of saying no. Another key lesson in this chapter is learning to say no. Many people become overwhelmed because they accept too many responsibilities. They say yes to extra work, unnecessary meetings, other people's requests. The author explains that every time you say yes to something unimportant, you say no to something more important. Lazy thinkers protect their time carefully. They politely refuse tasks that do not help their goals. For example, instead of saying, cross mark, okay, I'll do it, they may say, heavy check mark, I can't take this right now because I'm focusing on another priority. This habit keeps their schedule simple and effective. 7. Simplifying life. The chapter also talks about simplification. Many people complicate their work and personal life with too many tasks, commitments, and responsibilities. Lazy thinking encourages simplification. For example, instead of managing 10 different projects, focus on the 2-3 most important ones. Instead of creating complex routines, build simple habits that are easy to maintain. Simplifying life reduces stress and increases productivity. 8. Avoiding perfectionism. Perfectionism is another problem discussed in Chapter 3. Many people spend too much time trying to make everything perfect. This leads to delays, stress, wasted energy. The author suggests aiming for good enough instead of perfect. A lazy thinker prefers finishing a task quickly rather than endlessly improving small details. For example, instead of spending 5 hours perfecting a report, finish a strong version in 1 hour and move on to the next important task. This approach allows you to complete more meaningful work. 9. Delegation and smart work. Another strategy discussed in the chapter is delegation. If a task can be done by someone else, it may not require your personal effort. Lazy thinkers ask, can someone else do this task? Can a tool or software do this automatically? Delegation helps save time and focus on higher value activities. For example, a business owner should focus on strategy and growth rather than doing every small task themselves. 10. Rest is part of productivity. The chapter also highlights the importance of rest. Many people believe success requires constant hard work without breaks. However, this often leads to burnout. Lazy thinkers understand that rest improves productivity. Benefits of rest include better creativity, improved decision-making, higher energy levels, better mental health. Short breaks during work can help the brain recharge and stay focused. 11. Building a lazy productivity mindset. The author encourages readers to adopt a lazy productivity mindset. This mindset includes several principles. Heavy checkmark: focus on results, not effort. Heavy checkmark: eliminate unnecessary work. Heavy checkmark: prioritize high-impact tasks. Heavy checkmark: simplify processes. Heavy checkmark: use shortcuts and systems. By following these principles, a person can achieve more while working less. 12. Real-life example. The chapter gives examples of successful people who work smart instead of constantly working harder. Many innovators and entrepreneurs succeed because they look for simpler ways to solve problems. Instead of accepting difficult processes, they ask, backhand index pointing right, is there an easier way to do this? This question often leads to creative solutions. 13. Key lessons from Chapter 3. The main lessons of the chapter can be summarized as 1. Being busy is not the same as being productive. 2. Focus on tasks that create the biggest results. 3. Use the 80-20 rule to identify high-impact activities. 4. Protect your energy for meaningful work. 5. Learn to say no to unnecessary commitments. 6. Simplify tasks and systems whenever possible. 7. Avoid perfectionism and finish work efficiently. 8. Use delegation and automation to reduce effort. 9. Take rest and breaks to maintain productivity. Work smarter, not harder. Conclusion. Chapter 3 of The Art of Laziness teaches that productivity does not come from working all the time. Instead, it comes from working intelligently and focusing on what truly matters. The author shows that laziness, when used wisely, can actually help people become more efficient. By avoiding unnecessary work, prioritizing important tasks, and simplifying processes, a person can achieve greater results with less effort. The chapter ultimately encourages readers to rethink their approach to work and productivity. Instead of filling every moment with activity, they should focus on meaningful actions that create real progress.